Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Lamisha. I am currently a registered nurse working in the neonatal ICU, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience in an accelerated nursing program in the Bay Area. So if that's something that interests you, then just keep on watching. I went to nursing school back in 2021. I graduated in 2022 from a private nursing school in the Bay Area. It is a 12-month accelerated nursing program, and I was then able to pass my NCLEX and get my first nursing job. The reason why I chose an accelerated nursing degree pathway versus the traditional nursing degree is that I already currently held my bachelor's degree in public health. So being that I already had a first degree, I wanted to kind of speed up the process, and so I decided to apply for actually two programs. I applied for the master's entry-level nursing program, and I also applied to the accelerated BSN nursing program. And for the master's program, I ended up getting waitlisted, and for the accelerated BSN program, I got accepted right away. And being that it's so competitive, I didn't want to wait around and take my chances. I really wanted to get started in nursing right away, so I went ahead and went the accelerated route. So if you are currently trying to decide which pathway is best for you, I would take a look at how soon you want to get your degree, and I'd also look at your finances. When I was in school, my tuition was around $82,000. And currently for the program, being that it's 2026, the estimated cost for the program is about $102,900. So within the last 4 years, it's gone up about $20,000, so about $5,000 per year. And so that can get quite expensive, especially if you don't have the means to sustain finances, if you don't have the support to maintain your finances. When I was in school, in the beginning of the program, I actually started the program back in 2020, and I was still working full time at that point, and I actually had an exam that was coming up, and because the program moved so fast and I was working full time, I completely spaced out on the fact that I had a test, and I did not pass my test. In the program, you do need to maintain a 76% average, I believe, if not 79%. And so because I didn't pass my exam, they weren't able to allow me to move forward. They said I'd have to retake the course and I'd have to take it within the next cohort. So I met with the dean to see if there was anything that they could do to help me out, but they told me, unfortunately, I'd have to repeat the course and join the next cohort. So I waited until November of 2021 and I started with the next cohort. And by then I had already spoken to my job and they agreed to let me go part-time. And so I went part-time, and that was the best decision I could have made. Now, being that I was with my husband, who was at that point in time my boyfriend, he was very supportive of me, and he helped me out a lot with the bills since he knew that I was working part-time but trying to go to school. And so he really stepped up, and I don't know how I could have made it through without his support. And so that's the next biggest thing, is that if you are going to be in an accelerated program, you do need a really good support system, because it's not only fast-paced, it's financially taxing, it's mentally taxing, it's physically taxing. And you also need to be with someone who understands how much effort this is going to take, and that you won't be able to be around as much, you won't be able to do as much or spend as much time with them like you used to, because a lot of your time is going to be consumed with studying, projects, homework, lectures, clinicals. Like, you're just going to be go, go, go. So my recommendation, if you do decide to go the accelerated path route, is that you do also have a really good support system. Next thing that I want to talk about is your prerequisites. So being in an accelerated program, they do require you to have some prerequisites already knocked out. You do have to take your general prerequisites such as English, statistics, cultural anthropology or sociology, communications or speech, critical thinking, human anatomy and physiology, chemistry, and they do require you to also have pathophysiology and pharmacology already done because, again, it's a 12-month program. It goes by very fast, so they don't always necessarily have the time to go back and teach you these things. So they want you to come in with already having that knowledge. Something I didn't mention as a part of prerequisites is the entry exam. So my program accepted either the TEAS or the HESI. I took the HESI. If you're interested in learning on how to prepare for the HESI, I do have a video. I will either link it in the cards or add it down to the description. So you can check out that for some advice on HESI. But that is something that they look for. They look at the HESI in different areas such as math, vocab or grammar, English, I think biology, and another area. So prepare for your HESI. Your HESI scores, they do look at to determine if they're even willing to look at your application. So do well on your HESI or your TEAS. And then once you get accepted into the program, they do require you to do a background check, health assessment, drug screening, and I believe if you haven't submitted all your transcripts, they do also request that you submit your transcripts, that you have your BLS or your CPR training certification, and of course if you have a picture ready for your student ID. You want to have all those things kind of in the back of your mind or preparing for them as you get ready to go into the nursing program, especially the health assessment, because they need you to have your TB, your immunization records, your physical health assessment head to toe. They want to see how you performed, and then health insurance. So if you don't currently have health insurance, at least the program that I was in, they will provide you with health insurance, but at an additional cost. So again, those things can add up. So just be prepared for that expense. But once I got into the program, the first couple days, it's just orientation. So they give you an orientation on what the program will be like. They try to give you some tips and tricks on how to study. For me, when I was studying during my accelerated program, it was definitely a learning curve. I'll make a separate video on how I studied in my program. And then they do have you go pick up your uniform. It's an additional purchase that you have to make. You have to buy your scrubs from the bookstore. And then on top of that, they do provide you with a clinical skills bag that is included in your tuition. And so it comes with like a fake little skin pad for you to practice your IVs, Foley catheters, essentials for daily living. You get a stethoscope from the school, which is great. You get a blood pressure cuff. I still have my blood pressure cuff till this day, and I still use it. It comes in handy all the time, believe it or not. You never know when someone's going to need to have their blood pressure checked, so it's good to have that. And then what else did I pick up? And then of course your textbooks and things like that. Those are additional costs that you'll pay along the way during your program. But for me, for example, when I was buying my books, this is not sponsored, but I did use Chegg. Chegg is great. I wish I could use Chegg now in my career for all my other books that I read, but unfortunately, not all books are on Chegg, but Chegg is a great resource for nursing students and just students in general. They have really affordable rates for renting books and buying books, so I recommend you check them out. I'll leave the link in the description down below. The next thing that you should prepare for is what your days will look like. So because I went to school, it was post-COVID, we did do like a hybrid. So some days would be in person in the classroom, some days will be virtual online, and then of course you have your clinical days. So for me, we did a combination, and it worked out pretty great. It was nice to not have to drive to campus every single day, except for when we had like skills days, or you have to go in and show that you can complete and successfully do these skills and get checked off. That was, probably the most we'd have to go in. And then of course for clinical days, being in the Bay Area, I love that my nursing program is out here because I got to really network and interact with the local hospitals, kind of get my name out there, get my face out there, try to network and build connections. So that way, when I was getting ready to look for a job, I would hope that would help me in the long run. And I definitely believe it did. Sorry, my dog's barking. Shut up! They were amazing. And you know, they did everything that they could to help me succeed, and I really appreciated that, that they were always there when I needed them. And then, do I regret being in an accelerated nursing program? I enjoyed it. It was fast-paced. I got what I needed to know to pass NCLEX. I passed my NCLEX on the first try. I was a part of the group that took the last version of the NCLEX before they did change it to the next gen. However, it's literally the same exam. The only difference is that the next gen has more case study questions versus the old NCLEX that was just questions. And I think with the old NCLEX, you could pass in 75 questions. I passed the minimum of 75 questions. I passed my NCLEX in 76 questions. And the new next gen NCLEX, I believe you need at least 85 questions correct to pass, minimum. So if you are interested in how I prepared for NCLEX, because again, even though the questions may be a little different, the resources will be the same. I will make a video on how I prepared for NCLEX. And the only caveat in my program is that I did not get my senior preceptorship. They, for whatever reason, said that they ran out of spots because of COVID and that the hospitals didn't want too many students in the hospital at one time. I honestly don't believe that's the case. I think what happened is that they just had too many students and not enough placements, and unfortunately some of us got the short end of the stick. So in lieu of doing my senior preceptorship, they allowed me to use my certifications for clinical hours. They also let me do case studies, and I think it was ATI like modules to make up for my clinical hours. And I also got to volunteer at my local hospitals giving vaccines during flu season. So I got some hands-on experience. And even though it would have been better for me to have a preceptorship, it didn't hinder me from getting my first job. I actually got my first job 2 months after I passed the NCLEX, and I had taken my NCLEX about 2 to 3 months after I graduated. So I think that nursing school really set me up for that. I think my 12-month program set me up for that. If I could do it again for a third time, would I? The answer is yes. Yes, every time, because I think it was so worth it. I learned so much. And then something to also keep in mind, not just with accelerated programs in nursing, but also in every nursing program, they do require you to take an exam at the end of every course. So after med-surg, you take one big giant test on med-surg. Then after geriatrics, you take one big test on geriatrics. And then if you take fundamentals, you take one big test after fundamentals. And it's just to see how much of the knowledge and information you actually retained during that course. And if you get below a certain number, they do have you remediate, and you go through remediation. Or if you pass and you don't miss that many questions, you can just move straight on through, which is nice. For those exams at the end of your courses, I would recommend Your Best Grade. Your Best Grade is amazing for exit exams. And then once you're done with the program, you do have the huge comprehensive exit exam that you need to pass. Your Best Grade was amazing when it came to helping me prepare for that, and I highly, highly recommend Your Best Grade. I will also drop a link to their resource down in the description below. But yeah, overall, my experience was great. The only thing is that it was really expensive, and as expensive as it is now, would I have gone with that same program? Maybe not. I probably would have looked into a cheaper one. I actually had a lady at my job ask me, because she's interested in becoming a nurse, and she was asking me, did I prefer my program or would I have gone to a different program? And I told her, do what makes the most sense for you. Yeah, this school may be really great, but that doesn't mean the other school is any less great. And if it's more affordable in your pocket, you might as well. And she's fresh out of college, and she's already done her prerequisites. She's just trying to figure out where she wants to go next. And so I think she's making the right step in her own career. I think she made the right choice. She did tell me that she went with the other school that was cheaper, so good on her. Because I'm personally still paying off my student loans from nursing school. It's not cheap. And so that's something that you have to think about after you're done with school. And again, every semester is there's only 3 semesters. So you can imagine 4 weeks to cram all this knowledge in. It's like every 2 weeks is a different class, or every 3 weeks is a different class. And then you have exams, and then you have your exit exams, and then you have your comprehensive exit exam. And in between that, again, you're doing clinicals, you're doing community work, you are doing your homework, you're preparing, right? You're just preparing for it all to be over. And it's a lot of work. So just stick with it. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment box below. I love you all so much. And until next time, take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. Bye.